Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Canada has become the first central bank to cut rates because Canada has become the first leading economy to go through an economic contraction. Again, the Financial Times, for which the finance minister once worked, it said, quote, Canada's per capita gross domestic product has been shrinking 0.4% a year since 2020, the worst rate for any developed economy in the top 50. Does the government agree that Canada's per capita GDP is shrinking at the worst rate of any of the top 50 economies?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, our government knows that what matters to Canadians is inflation. And that is why it is so important that inflation was 2% in August and that it has been within the Bank of Canada's target range all of this year. And it is because of that progress that interest rates in Canada have come down 3 times. That is real relief to homeowners, that is real relief to businesses, that is real relief to anyone who wants to buy a home. But all the Conservatives know how to do is talk Canada down.
That's right. The government loves to tout its economic record, but the results are simply underwhelming. Canada has the worst housing inflation among its peers, the worst performance in per capita income among the G7, gross fixed capital formation has not increased in a decade, and R&D spending as a percent of GDP is at its lowest point in 20 years. It's no wonder why young Canadians and businesses are packing up in search of better economic opportunities and higher standards of living. When will the government admit that its economic policies are putting the future of Canada at risk?
You know, Mr. Speaker, what I find so interesting about these Conservatives is the only thing they know how to do is talk Canada down. A couple of months ago, the only thing they wanted to talk about was inflation. But guess what? We have good news on inflation, and with that good news on inflation comes good news on interest rates. On this side of the House, we celebrate good news for Canada and Canadians. On that side of the House, all they want to do is break things and cut, cut, cut.